one of the things that I know, I'm going to speak only personally here, one of the things that I find very difficult and challenging is sometimes to be focused on a bracha. Something which you could train kids, you take it, the apple, and you sit play with them, and depending how old they are, they just mess, they say things like shahakol or whatever they missed out the words Lokinu Melech Haolam. There's something which often we're trained at as a young age to do. And even when we get older, like myself, sometimes we kind of slur and say the brachos really, really quickly. So one of the reasons why I chose this topic was for personal reasons, that I felt that if I learned Hilchos brachos myself, that it would also improve the brachos that I make. So hopefully it will have a similar effect on everyone as well. So I want to just begin with a very powerful statement, which is source number 1. The Gemara says in Brachos, Tan Rabbanan, Asur lo la'adam sheyehene min olam hazeh b'lo bracha. It is forbidden for a person to benefit from this world without a bracha. V'chol hanene min olam hazeh b'lo bracha. And a person who benefits from this world without reciting a bracha, ma'al. Anyone want to translate, what does the word ma'al mean? It comes from the word me'ilah. Me'ilah it's like a korban, a sacrificial statement. It's like, for example, if I go over to Betsy the cow, who has been designated to be a korban, and I pet her or I milk the cow, just for regular mundane purposes. This cow has been designated for hekdesh. Right? If you use anything which is for sanctity, anything which has been makdish, you use it for mundane purposes, that is called me'ilah. The Gemara says a person who benefits from this world without a bracha, a person who benefits from this world and doesn't make a bracha, ma'al. They used something of hekdesh for mundane purposes. Okay. Question. What is the Gemara implying? What do you think that means? What do you mean, like, ma'al? What does it mean? That's not hekdesh. This is just water coming from a stream, or coming from a water fountain, or coffee from the second cup. Like, why is that me'ilah? What am I doing? It's pretty. Any thoughts? I realize it's really more. Any thoughts? What do you think the Gemara seems to be implying by using the term me'ilah? And by the way, that term is a d'oraisa, a biblical term, or is that a d'rabbanan, a rabbinic term? Generally, when you're ma'al b'hekdesh, that's a d'oraisa term, right? Are we trying to imply here that this is a biblical origin, making a bracha? A d'oraisa? So what exactly is this analogy that the Gemara is trying to create? Let's continue the Gemara, and maybe we'll see something. The Gemara continues and says, "My takante." What is the takana? Answers the Gemara, "Yelech eitzel chacham." What? Go to a chacham. Huh? How is it that that's going to help at all? Let's continue. Yetzel chacham ma'avidle. How is going to a chacham going to help you at all? Ha'avidle surah. You did something wrong. If you eat treif, how's it going to a chacham? How's it going to help you? I don't understand. How's it going to rectify? What's it going to do exactly? No. The Gemara continues. Ela marava. This is what it means. Yelech eitzel chacham ikara. Go first to a wise man. Go first to a Talmud chacham. V'yumadenu brachos. Let him teach you the laws of brachos. So you do not come to transgress the prohibition of Mila. We see from here that you need to be taught the laws of brachos. Brachos require teaching, which is good, because that's why I'm sharing. I have to justify what I'm doing, right? So we see from here that there's something different. Like, you don't see that by other things. This is the Gemara says, like, do this, you're going to be taught. It appears, a couple things. One, brachos are not necessarily intuitive. Two, they're complex, and therefore they need to be taught. And three, perhaps they often become lackadaisical. People become lackadaisical, and therefore has this thing which needs to be stressed. The Gemara itself says, go out of your way to be trained. Right? go out of their way to be trained in the laws of brachos. And by the way, one of the other reasons why I think you should be trained in, because it's not like the laws of Ever Minachai, which aren't so practical. But when it comes to brachos, it comes to, and by the Gemara appears to be applying, because then the benefit from this world, talking about food, right? It appears to say, well, since we are going to encounter food daily, hopefully more than once a day, then since it's something which we're going to encounter often, it makes sense that we're going to have to be trained, because, forget, Shabbos is once a week. Shabbos is also very important. But eating is daily, especially because we're Jews. Although I forgot to food, so I'm sorry. Right? But, so we see that something specifically, so there's different reasons to understand why Yelech Eitzel Chacham. I gave you a number of different options how it's understood. I think to this, and they're all probably correct. They're all a truism. Let's continue the Gemara. I'm Rav Yehuda Mar Shmuel. Kol hanehene mina olam hazeh b'lo bracha. A person who benefits from this world without first reciting a bracha. Ki'ilu nene mekodshei shamayim. It's as if, do you know the statement? He is benefiting from the sanctity of heaven. Again, that's the Me'ilah dimension. It's a pretty powerful statement. V'chsiv, as it says in Tehillim, La Hashem ha'aretz lo'ah. Where's that? Anybody know where we say that pasuk? Hashem ha'aretz lo'ah. Teva v'yoshveva. So we put back the Sefer Torah on a non-Shabbos morning. That's when we recite that parak in Tehillim. Why that parak? It's said that's the parak that Shlomo said, described, forget by the base midrash. Okay, forget it. Another time. What does this pasuk say? La Hashem ha'aretz imloah. So what does that mean? What's La Hashem ha'aretz imloah? What does that mean? La Hashem ha'aretz imloah. Feel free to talk. Yeah? What's La Hashem ha'aretz imloah? Sarah, help us out here. What? It's God's ha'aretz imloah. What is ha'aretz imloah? And all that's in it. So therefore, if everything belongs to God, if you take something that belongs to God, then that's called stealing hektish. Interesting. That's what the Gemara seems to imply. The Gemara seems to imply the exact opposite. Right. Yeah. It's a very good point. There are those who say that, perhaps, but that's not what the Gemara is saying. Let's continue, because you're going to see something really neat. Rabbi Levi asked a question. Ksiv Lashem ha'aretz imloah. It says in pasuk somewhere, God, really the word belongs to Him. V'chsiv says in Tehillim, Hashamayim shamayim la'Hashem v'aretz. Now it's something from the Adam. Now if I had to ask you where this pasuk comes from, that you're going to know, because we sing it. Things that you sing, people know. And where does this come from? It comes from Hillel, right? So there seems to be a contradiction. Why? One pasuk in Tehillim it says what? The whole world belongs to God. The other pasuk in Tehillim says Hashamayim, the celestials, belongs to God. V'aretz, but the land, now something from the Adam was given to human beings. There's a contradiction. Listen to this answer. Look, Kasha. Kan kodem bracha, and then of course the next part of the Gemara, which I didn't give you, is kan lachar bracha. There's like 3 words, which is why I guess I forgot to include that in the text. You can add that in if you want. So again, it's not a contradiction. How does the Gemara resolve this contradiction? Not a problem. When do we say that the world belongs to God? That is, before you make a bracha. When do we say that the world belongs to man, to human beings? After you make a bracha. It means that reciting a bracha is a matir. It gives you a license. It gives you permission to eat food. It's almost as if you're stealing. How do you avoid stealing from God? By reciting a bracha. Because what are you recognizing? Presumably by reciting a bracha, that everything belongs to God. So sometimes if you get permission, hey God, do you mind if I take this since I recognize that it's yours? I guess God says, yes, it's fine, right? By reciting the bracha, and then you eat it. Wow. Look at the Marsha. Source number 2. Says the Marsha, his commentary here in the Gemara, everything was created for God's glory. Liten lo kavod, to give Him glory. Me'in birchosav. Aval lehenos blo bracha in kan kavodo. but the benefit, meaning the whole world belongs to God's glory, so why can't I take it? It doesn't that just by taking food doesn't add to God's glory? The Maharsha says no. If you take food without reciting a bracha, it does not add to God's glory. Adayin Shalohu. It appears that it belongs to God. Umasha Pirush Rashi. Listen to Rashi. On our Gemara says, Ti'ilu Gozel Lagadush Baruch Birchosav. It's as if you're stealing from God's blessings. By the way, blessing is a good word to use here. Because what's a blessing? What? Okay, so it's not a very. I don't believe this is praise. What is a blessing? For example, may I give you a blessing? May you have more money. May you have more children. May you have more food. Right? What does it mean when you say a blessing? What's essentially what's a bracha? Is when you have an increase of. Right? When someone gives you a bracha, they're saying, may you have an increase of something. You have a little bit, you want more. That's interesting. In Hebrew, what's a bracha? A pool, a spring. Why? Because what does the spring do? It keeps flowing. It gives you more, right? It's a source of water. It gives you more life, more sustenance. By the way, interesting, the same word, this is knee. How do you say knees in Hebrew? Berkayim. I've said this before. No? Maybe? What? Berkayim. What's the root word of Berkayim? Berech. A bracha, right? What do knees have to do with a bracha? So first of all, what do the knees do? First of all, interesting, you have to actually bend your knees. That's interesting for modim. Okay, that's not for now. What's the connection between bending your knees and a bracha? What do knees do? Gives you more flexibility and movement. If you just had legs without knees, you're pretty stiff. Right? Knees help you, give you more movement. Your leg gives you movement. Knees give you more agility and more movement. It takes what you have and expands it. That is the idea of a bracha. Right? More. So therefore, by the fact, what are we seeing here? You're taking from God's moreness. Taking from God's benevolence. What God gives you, it's as if you're stealing it unless you recite a bracha. So it's not necessarily, I'm not saying it isn't, but there's the idea of reciting a bracha is more than just praising God. Right? Which is called Brachot HaShevach. Right? A bracha of Shevach would be, the other night, Shekachog Rasoma Leolam, right? The thunder, the crazy thunder we had the other night, right? Or Osama Sabrahir. Those are classic Shevach brachos, right? Not going to do this Sheva brachos, which might be Shevach, right? Also, okay? But we see that's a very interesting way of looking at it. Right? So it's almost as if it's different sometimes than what we often explain about a bracha. Again, you're taking mandin and you're raising it up. This Gemara is saying the opposite. An apple has kedusha to it, and you can't. Who are you to take it? Right? It's a different way of looking at it. Okay, and then let's continue this marsha because it's unbelievable what he says. Second line in the middle. Ela gozel mamash HaKadosh Baruch Hu also davar shochav v'nei mimenu. Dekodem bracha shalohu. It's as if he is stealing from God because it's his, unless you make a bracha. He's a chsiv and he calls for gemara. Shana is in the well. Tiyesh gozel mem shalo yired tali bracha. Okay, fine. That's the And the last line, if you take a look, you are mashchit shefa hakudusha for bracha. The I don't know, I'm not sure if there's tables. But meaning what we see here is that the beauty of the Maharsha, I believe, is trying to say is amazing. He's saying literally God is giving you something. God's created the world. And how can you take from it? By making a bracha. Which is an amazing idea. Wow, that's a good question. I'll tell you what else. God forbid you shouldn't know. If you're an onen, if you have one of your son relatives have passed away, you don't make brachas. You don't perform any positive commandments. Men that would put on tefillin, for example. You don't recite brachas. It's very strict daven, right? Then once the burial's over, then you have to. If a man, you have to put tefillin on before it gets dark outside. You daven. A person who's exempt, a non-Jew, You're saying that if it belongs, if it's God, so it's God. What's the difference if Chris takes it or if Reuven takes it? It belongs to God. That's why the Christians had blessing. Let us say grace maybe beforehand. Right? But they also recognized that. I think they did it over bread, right? I think they did it over meals. I don't know. It's an excellent question. It is an excellent question. Okay, I don't have an answer to that. Thank you. So let's take a look at the Rambam. The Rambam in source number 4, however, he has a very interesting. He adds something. I don't think it's that radically different. But the Rambam writes in Hilchos Brachos in source 4, "Uchshem shemevarchin al hana kach mevarchim al mitzvah, v'mitzvah chagach yasa osa." He's just trying to say that, there's different types of brachos they recite. One is for the benefit. One is for a mitzvah. If you need to, whatever you're going to benefit or eat, do it right. Do the action right after. And the rabbis enacted many different blessings, brachos, for praise and thanksgiving, and v'derech bakasha, and for requests, kedei lizkor es haborei tamid, in order to help remember, to be cognizant of the Creator. So we see there's different categories. Meaning, what's the purpose of a birkos nehene? Meaning, I want to make a bracha shakol and bivura before I have my coffee. So it's also to remember God. Meaning, birkos, you have different levels of brachos, but one of the fundamental principles of why we say bracha on food is to be more God conscious. I think that's an important Rambam. Okay, I want to show you one more in part of our introduction. Go to source 7, the bottom. Yeah, look at this. This is unbelievable. Source 7, the end of that line there, the first line. Umipnei shekol haolam Hashem yitbarach, that God the Almighty created. Shu baras hakol, created everything. V'kol davar shu l'Kadosh Baruch Hu kodesh k'mo kol kodashim. Therefore, the world is sanctity, is holiness, like anything else. Ve'ein alecha lomar ki af shebar'am harei el Kadosh Baruch Hu emeshashim kulam v'k'mo shar kodeshim shehem meshamshim lavodaso. Maybe you might think that things were created just to serve God, Yisbarach. V'chein hem kodesh. Ava ein shayach ze b'chol nivrim. Dezeino ki akol nivra deshamesh es Hashem Yisbarach ki akol bara dechodo. God created everything for His glory. Yesh chalavin od b'chachma, you understand in the wisdom. Right, person who benefits this world, and as if this person took something of sanctity and misused it inappropriately. Fine quotes on pasuk. Here, bottom. That's what I wanted to show you. After the comma. Ach, kasher hu nosein bracha prishochel. The person takes a fruit. Before they eat from this fruit, mitzad ha-bracha shehu yisparech, on the side of the bracha that he recites, baruch hu lekach, hu mashpia birchaso la'acher, v'yotzei la'acher. Meaning, what are you doing by making a bracha? There's also an increase of God's recognition in this world, right, for someone else. Meaning, you are becoming, without making a bracha, what else is there an increase of? The name of God, God's presence. People recognizing HaKadosh Baruch Hu, recognizing God's presence. Ki zenyan baruch shehu mashpia lacher. You are also influencing other people when you are reciting a bracha. And this is a way a fruit can become, so to speak, mundane, which is funny because now it becomes edible. You're allowed to eat food that's chulin, right? It doesn't have sanctity to it, as opposed to food that does have hekdesh to it. That you're able to influence others. That you are, since this apple, so to speak, has been blessed, you are you've been able, you have also an effect on other people. So this, by the way, can be effect on you, and perhaps an effect on others. So I make a very big deal of trying to recite a bracha out loud, because to some extent that's why the bracha was enacted, to have an influence on other people. I'm sure when we're on campus in university, as one of the very straight things you gotta Baruch Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, you kind of like do the not looking at me type thing. You recite a bracha, or people walk out of the washroom, for reciting Asher Yatzar, so it's a little strange. Walk out of a bracha, walk out of a washroom, start talking to yourself. People kind of might look at you, but okay, that's the we live in a different world. Okay, that was just by way of introduction. How important it is to recite a bracha. Why we recite brachos? And it's clear that the main reason, this is the reason the Gemara, not the Kabbalah, this is the Gemara says the entire world has Kedusha to it. The entire world is Kedusha. How can you take something without being God conscious? Okay. The second point that I wanted to make before we get to our main topic is the following. What happens if you don't know what bracha to make? What are we all taught? What do you do if you don't know what bracha to make? What do? Recite shakol. We're going to see that's really true now. Maybe you know what you should do? Not eat the food. Or, eat the food. Take a look at this. The Shulchan Aruch says, I'll pinpoint the zanval and geshehem la v'tuvim bar pridam. I'll give one. Various types of vegetables you may bread them up. Says the Rama, Kol parasha de'abehem shuvi grei puri. Anyone that, this is not our topic, but to get to what I want to get to, we have to read to this. On all the fruits, this is the essential fruit, Merach alem boy pri eitz. Okay, if we eat the stem of something, or a leaf of something, it's not ikar pri, you'd make a boy pri them. You wouldn't make, although it could be that stem, and at least you wouldn't make a bracha on just having food. You can make shakol. And if you don't eat the fruit of something, but you eat something that's edible, but not the fruit, this is a great question by Hearts of Palm. What brought to make a Hearts of Palm? Right? You make an eitz, or you make an adama. So if it's part of a tree that's edible, it's not ikar pri, but you make an adama. Okay, this is a good question. I want to make on Hearts of Palm, but not for now. V'imhu mesupak. This is our question. You're mesupak. I don't know what bracha to make. Imhu ikar pri lo. If you're not so sure, make it by pri adama. V'im enu yodea mahu. And if you do not know, mevarech shakol. So again, I'm not sure is this ikar pri or not. Should I make an eitz or make an adama? I'm not so sure. Then it says make an adama. Why? Because adama also covers eitz. Why? Because trees grow in the ground. But then what's this last statement? I don't know what this is. I'm eating a blah 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 blah. I don't know what this is. Sometimes you have these crazy from foods from out east, far east, these crazy foods. Today everyone knows what a star dragon is. Everyone's so advanced in their knowledge of fruits. Right? The star dragon, or the kumquat, or the I don't know what else. Right? But many years ago, these fruits did not exist. No one knew what these things were. I mean, at least in the Jewish community, right? We knew apples, peaches, plums. If you had peaches and plums in the summer, you're wealthy. In the winter, you're wealthy, right? Who has peaches and plums in the summer? But okay. So what does it mean that you don't know what brachot make a shahakol? Says the Mishnah Berurah, source number 9. Ima mesupak. Look at these words. Hainu achar she lamad. After you went to a shiur, or you read the green Art Scroll book on Hilchos Brachos, whatever book you read, you attended a shiur, or you studied it. And I still cannot ascertain what bracha should be. But I know, I learned my Hilchos Brachos book. I took the bracha bee in grade 5. I went to the bracha bee. I did well. I listened. And I still can't figure out bracha to make. That is a person who's mesupak and is allowed to recite Iboy Pri Adama on some type of fruit or vegetable, or shakol if they don't know. But, says Mishnah Berurah, Misha lo lamad, person who didn't study, lo yochal, can't eat. I'd say JLIC etzel chacham, the lamdo brachos, as if like the Gemara says. You're not allowed to eat unless you studied. If you don't know what bracha to make, you can't eat it. You got to take your food and go to the chacham. Go to a wise person who knows food and who knows hilchos brachos. A person who has not yet learned should not eat the food. What a Mishnah Berurah, right? Okay, and that is in fact the halacha. Go down to, please, source 11. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Yehuda, Haiman debai them have a chasida. If a person wants to be a chassid, what should you do? A person who's pious. We're talking about like a chassid in the modern terms. We're talking about chassid in the Talmudic terms. Right? A person who's pious, like kayim milei de nezikin, he should fulfill all the laws of nezikin, of damages, or of tort law. Rava mer milei de avos. Rava says the words of our avos, probably referring to Perkei Avos, although not so simple. For Amri La, and others say milei de brachos. You should know the laws of brachos. That is how you become pious. Again, the idea here of becoming, you're so in tune with what you're eating, you're recognizing God's benevolence and God's blessings in the world. So as a person is a level of a chassid. Okay. So, unfortunately, sources 1, 2, and 3 are repeated twice. That was my mistake. Let's move on to our topic for today. Okay, all that was we have introduction. Just to summarize, in our first half hour, what we saw the importance of doing a bracha, that you have to go study it, you have to go learn. If not, it's if you don't have a bracha to make, you can't just simply make a shahako, unless, of course, you understand the halachos, and you still are in doubt over what bracha to make. There's a lot of charts, I'm sure you're aware of this, there's a gazillion charts that are out there. Every kashrus organization has put up charts on bracha to make, and of course there's machlekes in a few of the classic foods, exactly what bracha to make on what foods. But again, if you rely on the OU, the CRC, I don't know if COR has a bracha chart, I don't think they do. Obviously you have who to rely on. Today's topic. Today's halachic topic is what bracha to make on desserts. So the title is Save Room for Both Dessert and a Bracha. Okay. So I want to say there's different categories. There's cakes and there's cookies, there's fruit and there's ice cream and fruit compote. What is fruit compote? I have no idea. My mother says, I'm serving fruit compote. I had no idea what that was until about 15 years ago. What is fruit compote? Like a blend of fruit. You take fruit, apples, pears, peaches, plums, and you do something to it. I have no idea what you do to it. But it's not just fruit. There's like...
It's like an applesauce.
What?
You cook it.
You cook it.
Yeah.
You cook the fruit. That's what it is? You add sugar probably to it. That's what our grandmothers do. They add sugar. You add anything else? Cinnamon maybe? I'm hungry. I don't know. Add stuff to it. Okay. Fine. Fruit compote. That's how they pronounce it. Okay. So let's take a look at the Gemara. It's going to begin to help us a little bit understand. And then we'll take a look a little bit at the halacha as well. Okay. One thing that's very important, by the way, and I think that's worthwhile mentioning right off the bat, is that society has a major influence on what's considered normative behavior at a meal. In the old, there was a time where you were not allowed to get up from the table unless you got permission from your parents. I don't think that flies. At least not in my house. That doesn't fly anymore. Maybe in some people's homes that still works, which probably should be, especially from a brachos perspective. Got in the middle of the table and going somewhere is not so simple. Again, to have little kids. I know our service meals go on for a long time. How do you expect an 8-year-old kid to sit at a table for 2-3 hours? Like they're gonna go crazy, right? Either the parents are going to go crazy, the kid will go crazy, right? But someone's going to go crazy, that's for sure. What do you do? Foods today are much more complicated, right? The whole industry of food has much more complex today than in the olden days. In the olden days, you had simple, just raw products. You knew exactly what it was. You can have pork today. That's part of. You have so many different types of foods. It's not really the food that it is, and how they're made, and is very, very complicated today. And also, when we eat things, this notion of like many courses at meals. So maybe Shabbos we do that, but it's clear, especially the aristocrats in the times of Chazal also ate that way. Many, many different courses. Again, I'll go back. Miriam's grandmother is European, so they would have like a whole course was grapefruit. Right? Grapefruit was a course in their meals. Yeah, you had that too? Your grandmother. and you were given a special grapefruit knife. Do you have any idea what that is? I had no idea what this was. It's like a knife that has a little twisty thing at the end. I think it's actually why is it great? Because you can cut out not the quadrants. It's like a spoon knife that you can cut it and scoop it at the same time. And that's what they did. I had no idea this existed until about 15 years ago. So again, how we eat food. You ever have on Shabbos, like my wife is like, this is the salad course, right? Where like you eat salads, right? Like you just eat salads. It's like 3 different types of salads and maybe fish, yeah, for Shabbos, and that's like a whole course. Well, how does that? And maybe in the salad there's fruit, right? Like those little tangerines that are toxic or something, right? So you have all these different foods that you didn't have before and eat before. And then you have desserts, right? You have the dessert time. You have desserts like the kids call me up when it's dessert time. There's they call me when it's like vegetable time. Right? Call me up when it's dessert time. And then you have to serve like 6 desserts, or else like you're not a good cook. Right? Unless you produce 6 desserts, it's an insufficient meal, right? And you have the different varieties, right? So chas v'shalom should you have? Okay, but we all live like this today. Again, the affluent society that we live in has allowed people to serve 6 types of desserts, right? So the question is, what's the governing reason why we eat these foods and why we're eating them and how we're eating them will have a major impact on the brachos that we recite over them. Okay, another thing which is important, and I'll end with this, is that the function of bread has changed. It used to be that bread was a major, major staple. There's no such thing as having a meal without bread. Because, like, what else did you eat? Believe it or not, there was a time where sushi wasn't around. That's hard to imagine, right? Sushi wasn't around. And bread was a major staple because it actually filled you up. By the way, one of the reasons why they served a lot of bread was because they couldn't afford other things. Bread is relatively cheap compared to other foods. So eat a lot of bread. It's not going to Shabbaton. Eat a lot of bread because you know you'll fill up, and then if you're lucky, you'll get like some food afterwards, right? That's like a classic, Shabbaton thing to do. Is eat a lot of bread so you're full. And by the way, today with the whole health society, bread is like a you don't use that word. We don't eat carbs, right? It's like a whole new fad now. We don't even eat carbs anymore. We're trying to cut down on carbs. I hear these carbs words, right? So I'm trying to cut down on carbs. Not doing a very good job. But so again, the function of bread. It used to be that everything went on bread, not just your hummus and your salatim, but even your meat was placed on bread and eaten that way, right? So it's also the whole function of bread has changed as well. Okay, let's begin with that introduction. Source number 1, Itamar. All of a sudden you're brought te'inim, you are brought figs and grapes in the middle of the meal. Amar Rav Huna, tunim bracha lifneihem, veitin bracha achreihem. You need to make a bracha before, i.e. 8, but not after. Why? How come you would not need a bracha after? Because you're going to bench, right? Okay, good. Meaning, it's so obvious that there's bread at this meal, right? It's so obvious that there's bread at this meal. Okay? So, V'chem Rav Yehuda tunim bracha lifneihem, v'tim bracha achreihem. Rav Sheshes tunim bracha ben lifneihem ben achreihem, shen lecha davar tunim bracha lifneihem, v'tim bracha achreihem, ela pasta b'kisim b'far. I don't even realize that. But we see everyone says you need to make a bracha before, that you probably don't need to make a bracha before, but you need to make a bracha before, but not after. No, he argues and he says, bread exempts you from all food. And wine exempts you from all liquids. Meaning, if I have wine at the table, I make a bracha over the wine. And any type of drinks that I'm going to have, this, by the way, is a kiddush. Let's say you have kiddush, and let's say you didn't wash. But I'm making bar pregaf, and I'm going to have Coke, or I'm going to have a drink. I would make a bracha on that because it was subsumed under my bori pri hagafe. Okay, let's continue in the Gemara. Second last line there. V'shalom machmasa seuda. This is the key. Anything which is not part of the meal, or I should say, really translated as not because of the meal, is a better translation. Tu'unim bracha lifneihem, require a bracha before, ve'ein tu'unim bracha lachreihem, and they don't require a bracha afterwards. L'cha'ara suda, avtivitin, tu'unim bracha, ben lifneihem, ben achreihem. Food which comes after the meal require bracha before and after. So what in the world is this talking about? So you do not have Rashi, I do. Rashi says, Dvarim abiyim machmas haseuda, things that come because of the meal, Rashi says, lelafes bahen esapas, that you put on bread. So anything that you put on bread, that you're having during your meal, would not need a separate bracha. Okay? Ein tunim bracha, because they're tefela, they are tefela, they are not essential, it's a better word. Batel, they are secondary. They're secondary to the bread. You made a bracha on bread, the hummus and the tchina, and by the way, in terms of chazal, the meat, you don't need to make a bracha on it because what's it called? Because you're in the middle of a you're washing. I'm sorry, people trying to get hold of me, and they don't even think that there's a time where you can't respond to like a text and email. Can you believe it? Okay, so that's okay, fine. That's right. That's what the Gemara says. Yeah.
Like, let's say if you're eating like rice or something or pasta, like, you wouldn't put that on bread either.
Okay, good question. Good question. So we have to see what exactly do things mean that they come because of a meal. Very good question. So, again, you don't have the source, I'm going to tell you. The Ritva actually says what you're saying, and he said no. What does hamotzi lechem min haaretz mean? It's not necessarily bread, but rather lechem min haaretz means lechem there is like the word mazon. Any time you have sustenance, any time you have nourishment, that would be the case. So the food isn't because it's bread, but because it's like hamotzi, you're eating it in order to be satisfied. Most rabbis today say mazonos rules you should actually wash, because you treat them as bread. You put kimchi on them, you put tuna on them. Yeah.
I remember like we learned from Tamir that if you like eat anything that's like mazon that you bake in the oven, then you should wash.
Well, I bake cake in an oven. I don't wash for cake.
You eat as a meal.
Oh, eat as part of a meal.
Yeah. You want to eat cake and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Like if you eat crackers or like
Pizza's totally different.
Yeah, but like I don't know if you eat like
Pizza's for sure you have to wash. I don't understand not washing a pizza at all.
If you eat crackers and whatever, like instead of bread, then
Okay, I don't want to get into the Hilchos Mazonos now, because that's what crackers are about. But crackers are not made the same way as bread at all. It needs more than just that. It needs a tzura of bread. It has to be treated as bread. It's not so simple. You can wash for crackers. It's more, I don't want to deal with it right now. But what other opinions hold is very simple, that it's more a matter of, why am I eating this food? If I'm eating this food to be satiated, so it would be subsumed under the hamotzi bracha. And now, I think if you take a look at source number 2 in this section, take a look at the underlined section. Let's say there are things that are coming not because it's really part of a meal, i.e., it's not coming to satiate me. I don't usually establish a meal on these things. Lafes, behen, esapas. I don't usually put I don't put the stuff on bread. I don't eat it with bread. I don't eat it because of bread. For example, te'enim v'anavim, fruit, the komine peros. So we see right away that when it comes to fruit is not part of the meal. No one says, "Oh, I'm starving in a Shabbos meal. Pass me the apple." You don't say that, right? You're hungry, you have a piece of chicken, or rice, or potatoes, or whatever it is, but no one says, I'm really hungry, you didn't serve anything in your meal, oh, thank goodness you brought out apples for dessert. Like, no one says that, you don't hear that. That's really weird, right? But no one, fruit comes generally as like a palate cleanser. I don't know, it's like dessert, just like, I'm hungry, you just eat it. We often eat things when we're not hungry, right? And especially fruit. Now it's become like trendy. You eat fruit at night better than my wife told me when I'm hungry at night, if I'm always hungry at night, I should eat fruit, don't have nash, right? That's like the thing that people say to do, right? You hear that line? You heard that before, right? Okay? Better have vegetable. Okay, so I don't get it right now. But so it appears the first thing that if you're eating not part of a meal, you make a bracha on it. This will be very interesting. What bracha do you make on a grapefruit? Eitz. It's a fruit. Grapefruit. Although that being the case, that's not always a good indicator. But grapefruit's a fruit. What about if my grandmother serves it as an aperitif? As an appetizer. As an appetizer. It's the only French word I remember from school. Okay, not the only, but one of them. What about then? You see, what is the function of a grapefruit as an appetizer versus a grapefruit as dessert? Or my tangerines and mango and craisins, I know these things, and nuts, which are, by the way, all nuts are eights. How come peanuts aren't eights? Because they're not nuts, they're legumes. You know, from Pesach, right? Peanuts are not nuts. Why they're called peanuts, I have no idea why they're called peanuts. But they're not halachically or botany-wise, they're not nuts at all. Therefore, you don't make an eights on them. You make an adama. So nuts, if I have nuts in a salad that I'm eating on Shabbos, or if I'm having fruit inside of a salad, no one says I'm having this small little tiny piece of mango. So, no, you're talking about it's part of the salad. You would never make a bracha on it. It's not coming as just to eat, to hang out with. It's coming as part of your salad, so that for sure it's bata. You would make a bracha on those little small nuts or anything like that. But and if it's coming as a course, like a grapefruit course, that maybe it is coming to really have to satiate you. It's a different function, as opposed to for a dessert type of function. Okay, so that's a machlokas. The grapefruit is coming in the beginning. There's more reason to argue why you wouldn't make a bracha over it, as opposed to the fruit that's coming at the end of a meal. Perhaps you could argue you should make a bracha. You probably would make a bracha, for sure, over. For praise. Then you make bench. Then we'll bench.
Oh.
No, right, no. For example, I would eat my grapes at the end of the meal, and then I'd bench, and I'd cover the grapes, and I'd cover the meat and bread. Okay, the Shulchan Aruch in source 5 also says something. Let's continue reading after the line there. Im ochel osam below pas. Let's say I'm eating food without bread. Tunim bracha lefneihem. The brachos hamotzi eno potron. If I eat it without bread, it might require bracha beforehand because the motzi wouldn't cover it. It's lav mikar sudaim. But if I'm taking fruit, and I don't really know how this applies at all, and having a grape spread, if there's some, what percentage of jam is really fruit?
Which one do you buy?
That's a good example. Great example. Let's say I have a jam that, in theory, is really fruit. And the problem is I have consistency issues with jam. It's to be the consistency. If I just take, no one does this, but let's say I were to take, what's jam made out of? Strawberries? What's a strawberry jam? I guess it's not type of jam. So let's say I take strawberries, and I put it into a blender, and I add some sugar to it, and some, I have no idea what, and I make it like a spreadable. Just dates. I actually didn't know that. Okay. What do I do? What do they do to jam because of that consistency? Add sugar to it. No, that hardens it. They boil it.
I don't know what that is.
What, pectin?
Yeah.
Oh, pectin is also used. Don't ask me how I know this. Pectin is also used. Very different kosher pectin. Pectin is used to clean wine because it removes all the not the sulfites, all of the black stuff, all the substance that comes from making grapes. I make wine. That's what I know. We can't go with kosher pectin. Because it cleans. It makes your wine clearer. It removes a lot of the dregs and stuff that happen to make wine. Yeah. Otherwise, just it's on the bottom. If pectin something that breaks it down or something. So you just say pectin. I have no idea. Okay, let's go on. So, so in theory, if you were to take something which is an eighth and you put it on bread, then it would not require a bracha, because again, if you bring it on bread, then it is considered superfluous to the bread itself. All right, let's move on. Look at 4. Magen Avram Konteinim Hu Adin Kol Davar Shaba L'Kinuach. Anything that is coming for actually dessert. Vafilu Hayal Fanav B'Shar Sheberech Hamotzi. Even if you're making habracha motzin on your table, afilu peros mevushalim, cooked fruit like kompot, ein pas potron kevan sheshachin lapas. Bread would not exempt them because they're not eaten. They're not coming to satiate you. Fruit kompot at the end of a meal is not coming to satiate you. It is coming to give you a sugar high or something. Right? Okay. Now, that is again, look at 5. Mishabura Kodavar Shabarak Kinuach. It's coming for dessert, velo laspia. It's not coming to satiate you. Okay. Go to that bottom section there. Im Bichlal Zemashmevin Ma'at Peros Mevusham L'Kinuach Seuda Shekorim Kompot. Isn't that great? I love that. Dezeh in Balamazon Klau Rak L'Kinuach B'Tzarich Bracha. Right? Here is kompot. We see it straight out. It says in Mishabura, kompot is not coming for any type of satiation whatsoever. Therefore, you make a bracha on it. What about 2 other things that are worthwhile mentioning? Let's talk about the easy one. What about ice cream this time of year? I have ice cream. Someone gives me ice cream or candies at the end of the meal for dessert. Would you make a bracha on that? So again, is that coming lahasbia? So I'm going to satiate you? For sure not. So you need to recite a shahakal on those candies and on that ice cream. Because it's not coming to satiate you, therefore require a bracha.
So what if the meal's really bad?
I have to pig out on, go somewhere else. Don't go back.
This is you would stop,
You'd still would fill up on candy? You're so hungry that you're going to
let's say if it's I don't know, really bad. Or what if it's after a meal? You're not even
okay, so here's something really. Okay, right.
You know?
So this is what. Look, again, Mishabura and all the Shulchan Aruch and the Gemara are talking about normative behavior in terms of most people when they eat dessert don't eat it because they're hungry. They eat it because it's there. Right? We all know that. That's a problem. So I guess if you're starving, you're hungry, and you need to finish off the entire quarter section of those chocolate lentils because you're really hungry, you all know what I'm talking about, or the quarter section of who knows what that's in those boxes because you're really hungry, I guess it's functioning different. It's not as dessert. It's functioning from as part of the meal. Right? Right? Because this is a subjective. Right? This is Hilchos Brachos are very subjective. I'm saying very subjective. Can be subjective to the person, because at the end of the day, what's its function for you is what bracha it's going to be. Right? We'll see that by Yikar and Tafel too. If you really love something, then that would always become Yikar, because you just love this, and therefore, if you have it, it would always trump something else. In theory, believe it or not, if you had something really spicy, you need to eat bread right afterwards, you wouldn't wash on that bread because it's just only eating it, not become full. You need it because you have something spicy in your mouth. You don't like that, but there's even that. So again, it's a very subjective. Why is bread? Oh my goodness, I just had spicy. Who knows what? I gotta take a piece of bread. Maybe that bread would not require a bracha. Right? Again, taking water with medicine is the same idea. Why am I taking water with medicine? I'm having water because I'm thirsty. I just a teaspoon of sugar helps the medicine go down. But what's better is water. What happens if having orange juice? Take your medicine. That would require bracha because then, by definition, you're benefiting from that orange juice whether you like it or not. If you take water with medicine, it's a time for a different time. You don't make a bracha on other foods you want. What else is there? There's obviously a some type of. What about if I have a cake? Here, look at the bottom of Mishabura number 9. The kimcha ikar v'pri batel. So I have a fruit pie, a fruit cake. I love those things. batal legabai. Even lachmir ligachsas tapuchim. You have to be machmir, like take out some of the apples from your apple pie, make a bracha, eats on that. No, he says you don't have to do that, right? He says, in fact, it's a bracha levatala. He says here, people generally, when you eat food, when you're having a cake, so here it's something different. Since cake satiates you, cake is satiated, therefore you wouldn't make a bracha on cake for dessert. And if there's fruit in that cake, you wouldn't make a bracha on that fruit because it's batel, it becomes secondary to the cake, in which case you wouldn't make a bracha on it. Okay? So those are the general principles. I should spend a little bit more time, but I feel bad. It's already 11:10. So again, on cakes and cookies, you wouldn't make a bracha because that satiates you. That's kind of, even though it's coming to serve as a function of dessert, since cake and cookies satiate you whether you like it or not, and if you're full and you're eating cake and cookies, speak to your local dietitian. Fruit is coming, again, more often than not, as a dessert that you don't need to eat. Interesting if it's coming as an aperitif earlier on in the meal. Maybe perhaps it's coming as part of the meal. That would be a seudah type of function. Ice cream, for sure, doesn't satiate you. Those little chocolate candies don't satiate you. So they would require a shehakol. And fruit compound, as we saw, is coming also as a dessert, not to satiate you, but to give you a bit of a sugar kick as well. So I think those are generally the distinctions when it comes to desserts. Not all desserts are created equally. So the conclusion is save room for dessert and sometimes even a bracha, depending on what the dessert is. We see that reciting a bracha is of paramount importance. A person who doesn't recite a bracha, it's as if you are stealing from Kodesh Shemayim. Again, this of course is not a doraisa. Generally speaking, although there's one opinion that holds a bracha perhaps on fruit might be a doraisa, we generally hold it's only a rabbanan, but we see the importance of it, of reciting a bracha. It's a matir, it exempts you, it permits you, it's a license to eat from taking from God's world. And yes, we are sanctifying the mundane, but to some extent we are allowing us to eat from God's world and participate in God's world because He wants to give us blessing, He wants to give us bracha and an increase in abundance. Therefore, we should recite a bracha. And if we're not sure what bracha to make, that's not good. We need to become experts in those brachos, or at least have a smartphone that other people are experts in those brachos, we can look things up. Otherwise, it's better perhaps not to eat the food than it is to recite a shehakol. And hopefully, by reciting brachos on food, we'll become a little bit more God-conscious, we'll become more cognizant of the Almighty in our lives, and by as the Kutzker Rebbe, is a good story, I'll align with this. The Kutzker Rebbe once asked his Hasidim, where is God? Feel free to steal this story anytime. Where is God? So all the Talmidim were like, God is, God's whatever. One guy quoted it, Uncle Moshe, God's above them, down. He probably didn't, but whatever. Because Rebbe says, no, you're wrong, and you're wrong. So, Rebbe, where's God? Because Rebbe said, God is wherever you let Him in. Meaning, you can choose to lead a godless world, or you can choose to lead a life filled with God. That's up to you. So, reciting a bracha helps you lead a life being more God-conscious, which ultimately is better for you and better for the world. And that's perhaps one of the main reasons why we recite brachos, is to increase our God-consciousness, increases the bracha of God to others and